Did you know, in SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, the attack of the Tubulet robot enemies changes when the game is played on specific holidays. On New Year's Day, they shoot rainbow-colored flames. On St. Patrick's Day, the fire is green. On April Fool's Day, the color is pink. On July 4th, the American Independence Day, they're red, white, and blue. And on Halloween, the flames are orange. Another interesting secret can be found in the Goo Lagoon level. One of the sandcastle sculptures at the edge of the level is a reference to a game console from the past. It's in the shape of an Atari 2600 controller. Battle for Bikini Bottom was created using the base of a previous game by developer Heavy Iron Studios, Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. The Xbox version of Battle for Bikini Bottom even has the intro animation of Scooby-Doo left over in the game files. By searching through these hidden files, fans have also discovered a lot of content that was removed before the game was released. The robot SpongeBob boss has an unused phase where it fights Patrick using the anchor arms from one of the cutscenes. It was partially programmed and would have been defeated by Patrick throwing debris at the targets on its arms. It's possible SpongeBob himself was planned to use the anchor arms too. An unused texture called muscle arms can be found in the game's files, and it is attributed to SpongeBob in the file name. The Smelly Sundae from the Season 2 episode Something Smells was originally planned to be a power-up as well. It's possible to hack the effects of the sundae back into the game, and it allows SpongeBob and Patrick to break stone tikis with their regular attack. The game's data also contains an unfinished dream sequence for Patrick in SpongeBob's dream level. It's based on candy and food, and it has a few early assets like the tikis that differ from those in the final game. An entire robot boss fight was also cut from the game. Like Sandy, Patrick, and SpongeBob, Squidward was also going to have his own robot boss. Concept art of the boss fight can be found in the movie theater, and it appears as though SpongeBob would have fought the robot by pressing switches and dropping rocks on it. There are unused audio files relating to all boss characters buried in the data, but there are no references to Robot Squidward, which suggests it was cut early in development. The Game Boy Advance version of the game still includes the Robot Squidward boss fight in the final version. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie game has many interesting secrets as well. In the level Welcome to Planktopolis, Minions, Heavy Iron Studios hid their best records for the time trial levels in a secret spot. A hidden alcove can be reached by heading to a high ledge that overlooks a lava pit across from two large plankton statues. Falling off the ledge next to the wall will lead players to a hidden spot, where after a few moments, a window will pop up displaying the time trial records. The developers included another reference to their studio in the Shell City Dead Ahead level. A license plate can be found among the piles of garbage that reads HVY-IRN, an abbreviation of Heavy Iron. Another interesting fact about the game has to do with Patrick's underwear. Even though it's never seen in-game, fans have discovered the model for Patrick is clothed with fully textured Goofy Goober tighty whities under his shorts. Later in the game, when SpongeBob and Patrick arrive on the beach and meet David Hasselhoff like they do in the movie, he's never actually referred to by name. This is likely because the publisher THQ lacked the licensing rights to use his name and likeness. Instead, the character just vaguely resembles David Hasselhoff.
I'm not a lifeguard, but I play one on TV.
Hooray!
The line, "I'm not a lifeguard, but I play one on TV," references Hasselhoff's role as a lifeguard on the TV drama Baywatch. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie game for PC used a different workaround for the licensing issues. Rather than referring to Hasselhoff's character as a lifeguard, he is instead treated as a mythical beast, and his name is censored with a dolphin noise. Unlike the console versions, the PC version of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game is a point-and-click adventure, and it also contains references to PC games from the past. During the 5th chapter, when SpongeBob tries to leave the bounds of the level and enter areas blocked by fog, he says,
"It's too foggy to see. I could get eaten by a Gru."
This is a reference to Zork, the classic 1980 text-based adventure game. In Zork, if players tried to explore dark areas without a source of light, the game would warn, "It's pitch black. You are likely to be eaten by a Gru." The SpongeBob SquarePants movie game was briefly available for the PlayStation 3 as a digital download under the PS2 Classics line. Unfortunately, this port was rushed and sloppy. The resolution was stuck on stretched, meaning players had to manually set the resolution every time they played. The audio and video would become desynchronized during cutscenes with delays of over a second between the animations and sound.
You have got to try this new Dot Broom game.
Dude!
Where?
and there was noticeable input lag, which caused problems during platforming and combat. The game was pulled off the PlayStation Store relatively soon after being released without an official explanation, but most gamers assumed it was due to the technical issues. SpongeBob SquarePants' first appearance in a major video game wasn't a game of his own, but in a kart racer called Nicktoons Racing. It was first released for the Game Boy Color, but subsequent versions came out for the Game Boy Advance and the original PlayStation. There was even a full-sized arcade version, complete with a chair in the shade of Nickelodeon orange. Speaking of ensemble-style games, SpongeBob was cited by Super Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai to be a very popular request for a new playable fighter. Unfortunately, Sakurai shot down any hopes of the yellow sponge appearing in Nintendo's Brawler. In an interview, Sakurai mentioned the massive support for SpongeBob, but along with Goku from Dragon Ball, he said these multimedia characters are impossible to implement. The game SpongeBob SquarePants Creature from the Krusty Krab had a feature that was prevented from being added because of guidelines from the licensor. Andrew Oliver of Blitz Games had originally planned for the Wii version to have shooter-style segments that used the Wii remote like a gun. Ultimately, the developers decided against it. Oliver explained,
"It's a cartoon license and Nickelodeon were uncomfortable with shooting. It's not that we couldn't do it, but it added risk if we went down that route and were told it couldn't go in. When you're aiming for a launch title, you don't need to confront obvious approval worries."
One SpongeBob SquarePants game was so flawed that it may have led to the closure of the studio that created it. SpongeBob SquarePants Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, developed by Big Sky Interactive, had generally poor reviews all around, but the PlayStation 2 version was particularly problematic. The game frequently froze on loading screens between different areas, and it caused players to actually lose their save files. The poor quality and bugs may have been due to internal problems the studio faced during development. Big Sky Interactive was originally the American branch of a French company called Callisto Entertainment. While the studio was in the middle of creating another game based on a Nickelodeon franchise, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, their French parent company filed for bankruptcy. Having all the resources available to continue the operation on their own, the American branch split and became Big Sky Interactive. Soon after that, Big Sky heard that Nickelodeon was looking for a developer to bring SpongeBob to the PS2 and GameCube. Many members of Big Sky were huge fans of SpongeBob, and the studio needed work, so they created a demo using the code from Jimmy Neutron. In an interview at E3 2002, Big Sky Interactive co-founder Matt Scabilia explained,
"A handful of people, mostly artists, took the technology we'd been working on and created a full working level of SpongeBob in 2 weeks, with gameplay, platforms, animations, a collection of items, and a working HUD. While the competition may have had a design doc or some models, we had a full playable demo working on the target platform."
They landed the contract and developed the game, but unfortunately, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman sold very poorly after the negative reception. The game was the last project by Big Sky Interactive, and Nickelodeon partnered with Heavy Iron Studios for future SpongeBob projects. Don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know Gaming for more facts and trivia. And if you like this video, give it a like. And if you like SpongeBob video games, then you probably know how glitchy they can be. Check out our clip show of all the glitches we ran into playing SpongeBob games on the YouTube channel I'm from, Fond Memory Vacation. Nostalgia Trip.